Hello everyone, this is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined, as always, by Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, like any other time, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to just jump straight into part one on this week's show, of course, the review part of the show. We're going to start over on the Friday. Of course, there was a card that took place over at York Hall, the British home of boxing, really. Gary Corcoran topped the bill. He moved to 15-0. He was fighting for the vacant WBO Intercontinental Super Welterweight title. He beat Danny Butler. So Gary Corcoran now 15-0. Moving down that card, Tom Baker was also on the bill. He was fighting for the vacant English light heavyweight title. He moved to 13-0. He picked up that title. Gary Corcoran won his fight unanimously after 10 rounds. And of course, Tom Baker as well. Unanimous win after 10 rounds. Also on that bill, Romeo Romeo. He moved to 10-0. He picked up a TKO in the 7th round against Michael Dufek. I know that straight after the fight, O'Hara Davies, of course, everybody will know about him, signed with Eddie Hearn. He was actually at that fight, so there was some sort of altercation between O'Hara Davies and Romeo Romeo after Romeo Romeo's fight. O'Hara Davies captured what was going on his iPhone, I believe, but the sound was, I don't know why, but when the video went up, there was no sound on it. But basically, there's hopefully going to be a fight. I think Romeo Romeo will be happy to have that fight. I think O'Hara Davies wants a piece of him, so that'd be a really interesting fight if we get to see that down the line. Also on the bill, of course, Boy Jones Jr., he picked up a second round KO, so he now moves to 7 wins, and of course he's got the 1 draw. Anthony Yard also on the bill. He picked up a TKO in the first round, so Anthony Yard now 5-0, marching on to big things. Elsewhere in Aberdeen, Scotland, Gary Cornish returned to the ring after his first round slaying by Anthony Joshua. So Gary Cornish back in the ring. He fought a guy who only had 1 win, 4 losses and 1 draw going into this fight. It was only a 6-rounder, but Gary Cornish picked up a points win after 6 rounds. Later on in the evening, over in California at the Fantasy Springs Casino, Antonio Orozco, who is a welterweight to watch out for, believe me, he moved to 24-0 with a TKO in the first round over Miguel Acosta. Also on that bill, Jason Quigley moved to 10-0. Again, he got a KO in the first round over Freddie Lopez. So Jason Quigley, another name to watch out for, of course, if you don't already know. Okay, that's really it for Friday. We're now going to go over to Saturday. We're going to start nowhere else but the Wembley Arena. We're going to talk about the top of the bill fight. Of course, Nick Blackwell was defending his British middleweight title against Chris Eubank Jr. Nick Blackwell 19-3 with 1 draw going into this fight. Chris Eubank, of course, 21-1. Chris Eubank ended up getting a 10th round TKO. The reason it was a TKO was because the doctors stopped the fight. There was a huge, grotesque swelling above Nick Blackwell's left eye, and the doctor decided to stop the fight. Nick Blackwell, if anybody tuned into the fight, if anyone saw the fight, of course, subsequently after that fight, Nick Blackwell was rushed to hospital, and it was revealed that he had a bleed, I believe, on his brain or on his skull. I'm not too sure, but he was placed into a medically induced coma in order for his body to recover. So it's not one of those things where he was beaten into a coma and he slipped into a coma and lost it for a while. He was actually placed into a coma for the better of his health, really, so that he can recover quicker. So just to give his body a rest, really. Again, I'm no medical expert, but like I say, Nick Blackwell, our prayers are with you on this show. We wish you the absolute best. It just goes to show, Ayaz, that this sport really, this is a rarity that stuff like this happens, but, this thing can happen at the pinnacle of the sport.
Our hope, like you said, goes out to Nick Blackwell and hopefully gets better.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, yeah, Chris Eubank is now the new British middleweight champion with a record of 22 wins and the one loss. Moving down on the undercard now, Hughie Fury, unfortunately, his fight wasn't televised. He moved to 19-0 with a points win over Dominic Gwynn. Also on that bill, Ricky Boylan, he picked up his 14th career win, so his record now 14-3. He picked up a points win after 6 rounds. Also on the bill, of course, Frank Buglioni, he picked up a TKO in the first round, his first fight with his new trainer, Don Charles. So Frank Buglioni now 18 wins, 2 losses and the 1 draw. That's it for Wembley. We're now going to go over to Sheffield Arena. Top of the bill, Kell Brook. He took care of his mandatory Kevin Bizier. Kell Brook now 36-0. He took out Kevin Bizier in the second round. So he picked up a TKO in the second round. Of course, he defended his IBF World Welterweight title. It was a good fight it wasn't a good fight. It was a one-way pasting, to be honest, Ayaz. But again, Kell Brook really does look the goods now, doesn't he?
Kell Brook is a very good fight, and look what he just did to Kevin Bizier within 2 rounds. Got rid of him, but now he needs to have a big fight in the summer.
Yeah, we cannot wait to see who he's going to fight. Hopefully, Eddie Hearn can land a massive fight, whether it's in the UK or the USA, really.
Yes, he should have a fight against the winner of Bradley Pacquiao. There's rumours regarding Miguel Cotto, Keith Thurman versus Porter. There's another fight, Danny Garcia. He just needs to be in a big fight now to show how good he is.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be happy with any of those. But yeah, the way he took care of Kevin Bizier was, just as expected. A lot of people thought he was going to beat him within 6 rounds, but he took him out in 2. So impressive stuff from Kell Brook, and that really is the way you deal with a mandatory challenger. So excellent stuff from Kell Brook. He marches on. Also on that bill, Luke Campbell, he picked up the vacant Commonwealth lightweight title. He actually defeated Gary Sykes, and this was a TKO in the second round. Of course, Luke Campbell, this is an impressive win for him, so it's good for him to pick up the vacant Commonwealth title. So Luke Campbell now 13-1. Also on the bill, David Allen. It was a strange old fight. He was supposed to be fighting Richard Towers. That ended up not happening. David Allen fought late replacement, Jason Gavin. And of course, David Allen picked up his 9th professional win. He's obviously got the 1 draw on his record, so 9 wins, 1 draw for David Allen. It wasn't really a fight, to be honest. Jason Gavin came for basically for the money, I believe. His corner stopped the fight at the end of the 4th, and he didn't come out for round 5. It was a bit of a rough and tumble fight. There was a point where they both went down on the floor. It was almost like a bit of WWE style wrestling. David Allen was very, very disappointed after that fight. I've seen an interview with him, and he was very disappointed about that fight. Also on that bill, Adam Etches, just before we talk about his fight, whilst this whole situation has been going on with Nick Blackwell, Adam Etches has actually took time out to create a GoFundMe page, so you can actually give a kind donation to Nick Blackwell. Of course, we're not sure if we're ever going to see him in a boxing ring again, so I'm not sure what he's going to do to earn a living. I know that Adam Etches, I believe, had a goal of trying to raise £10,000. I'm not sure how close or far away he is from that target, but of course, Adam Etches is a really good gesture there, and I know that a lot of people have been donating. So I just want to say a big thank you from the BoxHard Podcast for those that have been donating. Of course, it's a rarity in boxing, as I say, but these things do happen. It just goes to show how dangerous this sport can be at times, So a nice touch there from Adam Etches nonetheless, and a nice touch of a win. So he moved to 20-1 on Saturday, Adam Etches, with a TKO in the 4th round. We had him on our show last week, of course. If you missed that, it's available on YouTube, it's available on SoundCloud, and also on iTunes. His opponent, Zoltan Serra, came over, and like I say, Adam Etches was just too much for him on the night. And that's really it for the UK. We're going to end the UK side of the review part. We're going to go straight over now to Oakland, California. I'm going to let you take it away, Ayaz. Top of the bill, Andre Ward, 28-0. Sullivan Barrera, 17-0. Combined record of 45-0, these guys, okay? It's nearly a Mayweather record. Somebody's O had to go. Ayaz, talk to me.
Wow, what can I say? Andre Ward's performance, very good. Literally, he was like punch perfect. Andre Ward dropped Sullivan Barrera. I think it was in the 3rd round, right? But this guy, Andre Ward, just like he's just so good. Like he's skillful, and I reckon he's a pound for pound boxing champion. Now that Andre Ward's beaten Sullivan Barrera, there's a talk that he could fight Sergey Kovalev in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Who would you back in that fight, by the way?
I reckon Andre Ward beats him on points.
Andre Ward on points. Okay, and just to clear that up, Andre Ward, of course, beat Sullivan Barrera. Andre Ward was deducted a point in round 8, and he moved to 29-0. Andre Ward with a unanimous decision win after 12 rounds. Also on the undercard, very, 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 very big prospect. We must look out for this guy. He's a featherweight. He fought for the NABF featherweight title, which was actually his own, so he was defending it. Joseph Diaz, he moved to 20-0. He really is a name to look out for, believe me. He beat a guy called Jason Velez, who's no slouch either. Ayaz, I know you're big on Joseph Diaz. What do you think about his performance?
Wow, it was amazing. This guy, I reckon, in my opinion, he's the next big star in boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd actually like to see him, perhaps in the next few months or whatever, really move up on that world stage and just see where he is. Maybe fight a few guys who have fought for a world title, just to get that measuring stick out and see how close he is to that type of level. But I really think he is the goods, if I have to say so myself. Definitely, I'd like to see him in there with, I mean, could you just imagine if we saw Joseph Diaz in there with someone like Lee Selby? What a fight that would be.
Oh, what a fight that would be. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, we're going to leave the review inside of things right there. Ayaz, I believe that you've got a little bit of news for us just before we welcome on our first guest.
Conor Nigel Benn has signed his professional contract with Matchroom Sport and will be on the undercard of Martin Joshua on April 9th.
Absolutely. Again, of course, this is son of a legend, really, son of the Dark Destroyer. Of course, Nigel Benn. He's now got his son, Conor Nigel Benn. So this will be interesting. Everybody's seen the videos on Twitter, the way he trains. He seems to hit hard. He's got, he's flashy. He's a good-looking young kid. He's got big arms. He's got tattoos. I'm sure he's going to be an absolute hit, but we absolutely cannot wait to see him in the professional game. And he's signed with Eddie Hearn, of course, who I believe is probably the man to move him along. And it'll be interesting seeing him on the undercard of such a massive fight. Again, not a lot of people make their debut on a double world title card. Of course, we've got the Lee Selby versus Eric Hunter, and of course, top of the bill, Charles Martin and Anthony Joshua. So that's a massive, massive, massive night for Conor Nigel Benn. Any other news for us, Ayaz?
Yes, David Haye will face Arnold GG on May 21st at the O2 Arena.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at the press conference today for that one. It was all crazy. It was all calm. And then next thing you know, bang, the door gets kicked in. Shannon Briggs is walking in the room. Let's go, champ. Let's go, champ. It was absolutely hilarious, to be honest. I'd have been disappointed if he didn't turn up. I know that he said on Twitter he was going to turn up. I didn't know that until I was actually there. And then next thing you know, it just happened. It took us all by surprise. It seemed to annoy David a little bit. It was brilliant, to be honest. But yeah, again, like I say, the real piece of news is that David Haye will be fighting Arnold GG. Again, of course, this is Haye Day 2, and it's looking like it's going to be on terrestrial TV. So another nice touch from David Haye. I don't really know too much about his opponent. I know that he doesn't speak English. I know he's got a nice record of 29-0, and of course, 21 of those wins by knockout. I know he's been sparring with Kubrat Pulev. He's been sparring with Tyson Fury, and also he's previously sparred with Vladimir Klitschko. So definitely he's mixed it amongst some of the top guys in the heavyweight division in sparring and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see. Most of his fights have took place in Switzerland. But yeah, like I say, it could be like a dark horse in the heavyweight division. He's got a good ranking, and of course he's going to be facing David Haye. And also he has the second best undefeated record at the moment in the heavyweight division. Deontay Wilder, of course, 35-0 or 36-0, I think Deontay Wilder is now. I'm not too sure. And of course, now this guy's 29-0. So in terms of unbeaten streaks, this guy is second. So a nice juicy record, but we'll have to wait and see how good he really is on the night and how good David Haye really is on the night, of course. Any other news for us, Ayaz?
Nope, that's all we got this week.
Okay, cool. All right, that only means that it's time for our first guest on this week's show. Okay, now it's time for our first guest on this week's show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former trainer of Dereck Chisora, now training Frank Buglioni. It's Don Charles. Don, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very good, very good. First and foremost, how are you?
I'm very well, and it's a very nice sunny day today, so I'm fine with that. Once the weather is fine, I'm fine.
Yeah, same for all of us, really.
Yeah.
Now you went quiet for a little while, Don. What have you been up to since the split with Chisora, and well, between the split with Chisora and last weekend, really?
Basically, obviously I'm known for the trainer of Dereck Chisora. We've been together for a long time, and the work I've done with him, he was basically what I'm known for, of course. But apart from Dereck, I do train and have trained other fighters, which I'm quite disappointed sometimes when I'm not recognized for those other fighters. I'll name them. I trained Ashley Theophane to win his British title and defend it. Okay, Ashley Theophane, who's now fighting Adrian Broner. And there's a young man called Ajoze Olusegun, a Nigerian fighter who was based here. He became a British citizen. He also won the British title with myself. Okay, and there's a young man called Yazim El-Machi, the showman, whom I trained to win the prize fighter. Okay. I also train a heavyweight called Ian Lewison. Are you familiar with these names?
Yeah,
right.
all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do work with a number of fighters and have done so over the last 10 years. But obviously, Dereck is such a high-profile fighter, so I'm only ever recognized for the work I've done or did with Dereck. But these other guys, they didn't go on to fight for world titles, except for Ashley Theophane, who's now fighting for a world title. So I have trained, other guys as well. So when you haven't, or the public haven't heard or from me once I split with Dereck, I went back I look at myself as a chef. I went back to the kitchen to carry on preparing the next meal. I've got a number of fighters that I'm bringing through. They're not known yet, but it probably takes about 4-5 years to bring them to the forefront, where then people will start talking about them. So, I'm a very patient man. I'm not in a position, I never have been in a position where I'm not the type of trainer where I get given fighters, ready-made fighters. Let's say, for instance, I've just inherited Frank Buglioni. Frank Buglioni came to me off his own accord. No promoter recommended to Frank Buglioni to go and train with Don Charles. He took the initiative to find me, to ask me, would I be interested in working with him? A lot of trainers in the industries inherit fighters. They're in affiliation with certain promoters who constantly feed them with these ready-made, or let's say your Olympians, or people who get ABA winners who get deals with major promoters. Automatically, that promoter, normally they're affiliated with a trainer of their choice. Okay, so they get the fighters get directed straight to these trainers, whether the trainer is any good or not. But the promoter will give them the work. Yeah. So consequently, I'm not just saying it's just myself. There are a number of very good trainers out there, okay, who would do good jobs for these Olympians or ABA winners, but we don't get the opportunity, unfortunately. So you have to basically get your own fighters and develop them from scratch, and that's what I do. That's what I specialize in.
I was going to ask you how the link up came between yourself and Buglioni, but you touched on that. Of course, we didn't really get to see much of him because of the early knockout, but how is he looking in the gym, Don?
Well, we've only been together for a very short period, and I can categorically say to you, this is the first time in my coaching career that I've got a fighter at that level who just walked into my gym and asked me to work with him. So he's come to me a very good level where the work I have to do for him, with him, is easy for me. I know exactly, I'm not going to reveal, obviously, what I'm doing with him. I'm training him in boxing, but the things that he needs to complete his style is what I happen to specialize in. So we're working on that. And you're going to see a guy who, like I said, I'm excited about, because this is the first time I can categorically say to you I've gotten into my camp a guy who's very well schooled, very disciplined. And so I'm going to do some wonderful things with him in boxing, because, like I said, I normally have to spend years and years and years of developing fighters from the grassroots, which I don't mind doing, because I'm currently doing that anyway with about 5 fighters in different weight categories. I've been developing in the last couple of years, and like I said, it will probably take another couple of years before they'll start becoming British champions and Commonwealth, European champions. And hopefully, if we carry on doing the good work, they'll end up on the world stage.
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to ask you about your relationship now with Dereck, because I know that it wasn't just really a training link-up. It was more like father and son almost. It looked like it was one of the biggest shocks in boxing, to be honest, when you guys split. What is the relationship like today with Dereck and yourself?
Yeah, I've always maintained Dereck will always be, regardless of what happens in the future, I will hold on to what we achieved together. I will always be proud of what we achieved together. I'm disappointed in the sense that I don't feel I got to complete what I started with him. The aim was for us to go to the World Championships, win the world title. In fact, I'll go as far as unifying the world, the belt. He was good enough to do that, but unfortunately, I'm a strong believer in destiny. Through various personal reasons, then that was my intentions was to complete the journey with Dereck. But unfortunately, we didn't get there. We failed. We had a challenge at the world title with Vitaly Klitschko. We fell short. We were given another opportunity to qualify to fight a Klitschko, the Vladimir Klitschko, who, I don't know if you can remember, 6 years ago, Vladimir Klitschko avoided Dereck Chisora. We trained for the fight. We went to Germany 3 days before the fight was supposed to take place. He pulled out with injury. They postponed it. We came back to England. They rescheduled it for April. Within 2-3 weeks of going back into camp, he cancelled it again. Then David Hay jumped in and fought him. So it's almost like it was never meant to be for us. Me and Dereck winning the world title doesn't mean that Dereck can't go ahead and do it. He can do it. He's got the ability to do it, provided he still remembers the dream that we had, the promise we made each other, that nobody gave us a chance initially. The boxing expert in this country said Chisora is not even good enough to win the British title. We surpassed that by miles, okay? If my boy can rediscover and remember what we initially set out to do, and I hope, with or without me, I hope he goes ahead and completes that dream.
Yeah, I hope so too. A lot of these new school boxing fans who have just jumped into boxing seem to forget all this side of stuff. They're just going on what happened with David Hay and everything after that. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the current heavyweight division, the landscape of it. It's a little bit of an old question, but I never saw anyone ask you it. Did you actually have Tyson Fury winning that fight with Klitschko? Did you think he would win before the fight took place? Did you have him winning that fight beforehand?
Yes, I did, actually. I was probably one of the few people that believed that Fury would do it. In fact, I was disappointed because I actually thought I'd said that he would win it by knockout, whether it's TKO, by technical knockout, because I really didn't see Fury winning it on points, because in Germany it's very hard to get a decision against a Klitschko in Germany. The power they have, the hold they have over that division, I didn't believe it was possible to get a point win in Germany. I thought he will stop Klitschko, and he came near to stopping Klitschko. And I believe if you watch the fight, in round 11, he had Klitschko going, and I think had the referee not intervened, I think he would have definitely got rid of Klitschko. And unfortunately, the referee intervened and saved Klitschko from that. So if it happens again, it's going to get worse for Klitschko. I think Tyson would definitely stop him this time round.
Yeah, I believe in what you're saying there. I agree with that. A couple of questions I want to ask you now about potential fights that are happening. I want to start with, you mentioned, obviously you used to train Ashley Theophane. He's in a massive fight in just 2 days' time. Just tomorrow, actually, against
That's
Adrian
right.
Broner. What's his chances of winning this fight?
Ashley's got a very, very good chance of winning that fight. I'm a person who, like I said, I always look myself, although I'm a coach, myself and my fighters, we're always the underdogs. And I always look at Ashley Theophane is the underdog for this fight. But Ashley Theophane is well seasoned, yeah. He's matured, very heavy-handed, because I used to train him at that weight. It doesn't punch it. It punches above his weight, that guy. very heavy-handed for the weight, and he's a very determined young man. He's very fit. The way I describe it to people when I'm describing or explaining how the fight will go, Marcus Maidana gave Adrian Broner all kind of problems. Yeah, he beat him, right? Now, Ashley Theopen, as far as I'm concerned, is a better skilled and schooled fighter than Marcus Maidana. Yeah. So for that reason, I'm gonna go for a Theopen win. I think Adrian Broner, you could see he's rattled. If you watch the press conferences, if you watch the face-off, and he's a very rattled man. He's very disturbed because he could see. Because Ashley Theopen has one of those faces, poker faces. I've seen that guy spar so many rounds in my gym when I was training him. You can't tell when he's hurt and when he's like, it doesn't show pain whatsoever. Yeah, he's got poker face. Even in their face-offs, Broner can't work him. Broner is trying to unsettle him. You could see his facial expression doesn't change at all. And he's very determined. I've spoken to him. He's very, very determined. I told him to grow another pair of arms in addition to the arms he's got ready to grab the opportunity that's been presented to him. And I really do believe he's going to pull it off.
I really hope so too. We had him on the show last week and it was good to hear him talk. He was in good spirits. And of course, Floyd Mayweather is backing him to beat Broner in this.
Absolutely.
So that's an interesting point.
I'm not being funny. If Floyd didn't think that he doesn't want to let somebody who he promotes and to gun, even let the fight down, Floyd's got faith in that boy. And I'm telling you, Ashley Theopen will beat that Adrian Broner. Yeah, he will. And Ashley is very determined, okay? And I know that kid really well. He's very cool. He's not rattled by anything. He's matured. He's not like some 21-year-old guy who, is going to maybe break under pressure. Ashley is very seasoned. Yeah, if you cast your mind back, Ashley Theopen, I believe they beat Garcia when they fought a few years ago, if you remember that. Yeah? He's boxed he's boxed a lot of good fighters who are making noise out there today, and he's got the experience to do what's necessary and beat this guy Broner.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I really hope so. And yeah, again, another fight that a lot of people forget. Of course, David Hayes made his comeback recently. He fought on January the 16th, and he's now fighting on May the 21st. What do you think of his return to the ring, Don? Can he get to the top again?
Most definitely. The guy's a very intelligent human being. He's a good salesman. The industry, the heavyweight division needs people, the likes of your David Hayes. It makes it all very interesting. He's British. And I'm glad to see him back, and I'm glad to see him doing what he does best, selling fights and entertaining, because he's a very explosive fighter, and it brings all action, and it's good. It's very good for boxing.
Yeah, of course. Also, there's a fight been made in the heavyweight division. Wilder will be facing his mandatory in Alexander Povetkin. How do you see that fight going, Don?
Very, very, very tricky for Wilder. I see Wilder losing that fight.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah. I see Wilder because Povetkin, as we know, he's only ever lost to Vladimir Klitschko, who was fouling him. It might as well call that match a wrestling match, because the referee did nothing about it whatsoever to stop Vladimir wrestling him to the ground. He never got, I don't believe maybe he got 1 point taken off. He should have been actually disqualified rather than 1 point taken off about round 8 or something. The referee eventually, I think he cautioned him, and then, fouls. Povetkin is very well schooled. Yeah? This version of Povetkin you're seeing now is used to dealing with tall guys. It's not going to be a problem, okay? And it's one of those fights. It could go in there and Wilder does what he does and bowls a big run and knocks him out. But I've got my reasons, but I believe when I look at the fight and dissect it technically, how it's going to go, I do see Povetkin. He's got the experience. He's been in there with top opposition all through his career, and I'd hate using the word upset, because he's got Povetkin has been established much prior to Wilder coming onto the scene and doing what he has done remarkably. He's done really, really well, Wilder. Yeah, he's really surprised me, his performance against Severn. I didn't think he was capable of doing what he did, as in boxing on his back foot, and really, he boxed really well that day and to win the world title. So I know he's vulnerable to various things. that Povetkin brings to the table. And I really do see Povetkin doing well, and to the degree where I believe he'll win that fight.
Okay, very interesting breakdown. I want to talk about now, of course, Charles Martin coming over here to face Joshua. It's happening literally in 9 days' time. What do you see? How do you see this fight going, Don?
Maximum 4 rounds in favour of Anthony Joshua by KO.
Sweet and simple, yeah?
Big
Short
capital KO.
Big KO. You don't think that the six... Go on, Don. Do you think that the size at all? I know that he's around the same sort of height as Joshua, and of course southpaw, big punching power, a lot of knockouts. No threat posed.
No, you've got the Olympic champion here, who's incredibly, very, very quick, incredibly explosive, incredibly hungry, trains very hard, very, very determined, very, very confident. And I know the kid really well because I think he realizes he's always risen to the occasion. On numerous occasions, he's risen to the occasion. And winning the Olympic medals in your own country, there's a lot of pressure. It's all very well having it in your country, but there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. He's always come up trumps, and I don't see any difference with this fight. Martin, as far as I'm concerned, is not a typical awkward southpaw from what I've seen of him. He doesn't have the lateral movement, the snapback counter a normal southpaw has, and it doesn't have the footwork to move the target. I think it's a bit too stationary to fight Joshua. And if he's going to stand in front of Joshua, then I'm afraid it's going to be an early night. And that's what I see happening. I can't see him boxing clever in the sense he's going to use the ring and try and... He hasn't got a jab, okay? So, no, I don't... I've looked at it, examined it. I think, again, Joshua has to box clever. Obviously, the only chance I'm giving Martin, no disrespect to him, he's the world champion. The only chance I'm giving him is the fact that he's a southpaw, that Josh might need to be a bit more cautious, work it out, take your time, dissect him, then take him out. And I don't see Martin, really can't say, I can't say him causing any problem for Josh. Like I said, we have to respect, because southpaws can be, tricky. I'm sure Josh is inspiring southpaws in his preparation to get used to the angles and where to put the foot and stuff like that. But I don't think Martin is a typical... he's not even an Audley Harrison type of southpaw. As much as all people slay Audley Harrison, that guy, he can also punch, and he's also got that snap back where he will let you lead and he'll snap back and counter you and take you out. Audley has that. I don't even think Martin has that. So, no, I only see one result, then that's an Anthony Joshua victory. And to be, how wonderful would that be for him to be a world champion in his 16th professional fight? So yeah, and he's representing, and at the end of the day, look how many world champions Britain is boasting at this moment. I don't ever remember it being like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, again, if we were to get, if Theophane is to win tomorrow night, and then next week Joshua wins, that's more.
Exactly.
We've got more world champions.
Britain right now, I don't care what anyone says to me, this is where it's at. Yeah, this is where it's at. When was the last time you heard an American coming up and bringing his belt to Britain to defend it? First defense. It doesn't happen, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, this is where it's at. This is where it's at the moment.
It is more world champions than any other nation. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The last two questions I've got for you now, Don. I just want to ask your opinion on Chisora going over to fight Pulev, which is a little bit of a strange one, to be totally honest. But again, Chisora does the unexpected. How do you see that fight going?
Well, it's a great opportunity for my guy to bring himself back to contention, to be able to contest. Because the way the world titles are at the moment, those belts are going to be swapping hands on a regular basis. So you have to put yourself in a position to be able to grab one of those belts. You have to take a chance in this life. The opportunity came along, and to fight for the European title, which propels you straight back up. Because once you've won the European title, you may have maybe one defense to get yourself in a mandatory position to fight for one of the belts with one of the governing bodies. So it's about placing yourself in the right place. So the fight itself, a very awkward fight, because Pulev is a very awkward guy. He's not blessed with skills. He's a very strong man, very mentally, physically strong, but it's not that complicated to work him out. So Dereck, I believe, will be victorious, will in that fight, and provided he remembers the style that we originally practiced. He has to practice it, go through his drills, and stay hungry, desire, and go and do what's necessary. And yeah, I think Dereck beats him all day long. I really do, because he has to do, and I believe he will remember. I've spoken to him. I've reminded him what he has to do. Although I'm not working with him. The reason you're calling me and giving me an interview, again, my name is Don Charles, but I'm only known because I worked with someone like Dereck Chisora, who brought me the recognition through our achievements we achieved together. So he still calls me for advice, and the advice is always there.
Yeah, of course. Now, I've thrown quite a few tricky questions at you. You seem to answer them cool as a cucumber, really. I've left this question till last. I don't mean to put you on the spot or whatever, but taking yourself out of the equation, who do you think is the best trainer right now in Britain?
Okay. After me, yeah?
After yourself.
One thing about me, when you ask me a question, I will dissect it. I will give you the truth. I love football, okay, and I support Tottenham Hotspur, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think you're just trying to buy a few seconds here, Don.
No. I'm just trying to. I don't want. One thing again, I hate being misunderstood. That's why I go along. But my son, I have a son. My son always has a go at me because, Dad, why don't you just say yes or no? But some questions you can't give a yes or a no because I have to explain it. Otherwise, you're going to misunderstand me, and I hate being misunderstood. So therefore, I will break it into little segments, and I put it together and give it back to you. So how do you judge a football manager?
How do you judge a football manager? In today's sport,
yeah.
Well, really, it would have to be on success.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. Right. So based on success, based on achievements, at this present time, you have to give it to Joe Callagher. Based on what the guy has achieved in the last 4 or 5 years, you have to give it to him.
Yeah, no, like I say, no one can argue with that. He has got a lot of success at the moment, and of course he's got Crawler and the rest of the guys.
You don't get, that's why I'm here for the long run, and by the grace of God gives me strength and health, stay healthy. I intend in the next 10 years, because I've already put 10 years into it, and I fell very short with Chisora. I came very near, but we fell short. In the next 10 years, I will produce champions after champions in different weight categories, yeah? So, unfortunately, I've put 10 years in and I haven't produced a world champion. I've produced 3 British champions in 3 different weight categories. Prize fighter champions, Southern Area champions, European champion. So I have not produced a world champion. So therefore, that's my quest, is to produce world champions in different weight categories, and I will do that in the next 10 years. So right now, yes, someone like Joe Callagher is right up there. He's the number 1 coach in this country based on achievements, yeah, what he's produced and achieved. If you differ, if your listening audience disagree, well, let's have a debate about it. Tell me who they will put. It's not just about one person producing one person. Then you can't become the best coach in the country overnight because you've trained one world champion. No, it has to be all the other fighters you train. What have they won? British title. Every title counts, from Southern Area title to British, to Commonwealth, to European, then to world. You have to take all those in account, because a football manager, have you won the FA Cup? Have you won the Carling Cup? Have you won the European? It's all the cups. All the cups matter. So when you're judging the trainer you have to take into account what they've achieved over the years.
Yeah, definitely. Excellent stuff. Okay, listen, Don, thank you very much for giving us a bit of time. Thank you very much for giving us your insightful views. You're a true gentleman, and I wish you the absolute best with the success with Buglioni and the other guys coming through. Don, thank you very much.
Thank you, bro. It's my pleasure.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. Of course, on part 1, we do the review part. On part 2, we do the preview part. Now it's time to do the preview part. We're going to start on the Friday. We're going to start over in Washington, D.C. Top of the bill, Adrian Broner. He defends his WBA World Lightweight title against Ashley Fearfame. We had him on the show a couple of weeks back. Adrian Broner, of course, 31-2. Ashley Fearfame, 39-6 with 1 draw. This will be an interesting fight while it lasts, Ayaz.
This is going to be such a good fight, and I reckon, in my opinion, Broner's going to beat him on points.
Oh, it's a tough one to call. Remember that, of course, Mayweather and Broner were really, really good friends. I'm not sure what the relationship's like now, but this is the first time that Mayweather's actually siding with someone against Broner. So, of course, this is a first. Mayweather believes, like I say, I'm quoting Ashley Fearfame here. Mayweather believes that Ashley Fearfame can beat Broner. That's the reason why he made the fight. So it's going to be an interesting contest. I really cannot wait for that one. It's definitely a must see. Also on that undercard, Robert Easter Jr. He's 16-0 at the moment. He faces Aljonis Mendez, who has a record of 23-3 with 1 draw. Also on that bill, Gervonta Davis. Now, we know that he's got a close-knit relationship with Mayweather. He's at the moment is 14-0. He faces Guillermo Avila, who has a record of 16-5. Gervonta Davis, remember that name, I'm telling you. He's in the super featherweight division, and he really is going to burst on the scene soon enough. Anthony Peterson also on the bill. That's the brother of Lamont Peterson. He has a record of 36-1. He faces Samuel Cote Nkwe, who has a record of 22-1. That should be a decent little scrap. Also on the bill, J. Leon Love. A lot of people know about him. He's also a Mayweather fighter as well. He has a record of 21-1. He faces Michael Gumbenga. I'm not sure if I've pronounced that right, who has a record of 21-24. So J. Leon Love really should get the win there. That's really it for the Friday. We're now going to move over to the Saturday. We're going to start with a card taking place in Finland. Just one fight I want to mention over there. This is for the vacant WBC silver heavyweight title. Robert Helenius, 22-0. He faces Johan Duhaupas. Of course, we've seen him in there with Deontay Wilder recently. Duhaupas has a record of 33-3, so that'll be an interesting little clash. Now we're going to move over to Poland, a guy who we had on our show, again, I think it was around Christmas time, something like that, a really nice guy, and also a former opponent of Deontay Wilder, Eric Molina. He's travelling over to Poland in the hometown of Thomas Adamek. So we'll start with the way the fight's going to be called. Thomas Adamek, 50 wins and 4 losses. He fights Eric Molina, 24 wins and 3 losses. This is for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight title. So this should be a good scrap because Eric Molina, really, really nice guy and a really good fighter, really, really underrated. Not a lot of the time he gets much notice for fights, but when he does turn up, I mean, he told us before, I have hurt everybody I've been in a ring with professionally and in sparring. Again, I know a lot of fighters talk, but Eric Molina did have Deontay Wilder in a bit of trouble during that fight. Just look at the tape if you don't believe me, or if you slip your memory. I'm telling you, Eric Molina is no joke. We wish him the absolute best of luck. And in my opinion, I'd like to see him win. It's going to be a tough fight. We know that Thomas Adamek is past his best, Ayaz. Could this be the right time for Eric Molina to get a seriously notable win on his record?
It will be, in my opinion. I reckon it'll be good if he wins this fight.
Yeah, definitely. It will definitely set up some big clashes in that division. Also on the undercard, Andre Warwick. He has a record of 31-1. That's in the heavyweight division. He faces Marcin Rakowski, who has a record of 17-2. That really is another fight to look out for. Okay, that's it for Poland. Now we're going to bring ourselves over to Liverpool at the Echo Arena. Where else? Top of the bill, Hadila Mohammadi, who has a record of 20 wins and 3 losses with 1 draw. He faces Callum Smith, 18-0. If you don't know Callum Smith, you must have been hiding under a rock. He faces Mohammadi. Mohammadi is the EBU European Super Middleweight Champion. So this is for his belt. So if Callum Smith wins this will set up some serious fights down the line for Callum Smith. Cannot wait for this one, by the way. Callum Smith, I know you don't know too much about Mohammadi, but do you think he's going to win this fight comfortably?
We saw his last fight where he stopped Rocky Fielding. I reckon in this fight he's going to stop Mohammadi.
Yeah, you got a good point. You know, I wouldn't want to bet against Callum Smith getting the knockout. He seems to get a lot of knockouts. The better the opposition, the better he performs, I almost feel as well. Also on that bill, as you just mentioned, Rocky Fielding, he comes back to the ring. He faces Christopher Rebrath. Again, Christopher Rebrath, we've seen him in there with George Groves and a couple of others. Rocky Fielding, this again is for the vacant WBC International Super Middleweight title. Rocky Fielding 21-1, Christopher Rebrath 24-4 with 3 draws. This will be a tough test for Rocky Fielding. How do you see this fight going, Ayaz? Because I know that Rocky Fielding can bang, but Rebrath, he's got a good chin on him as well.
This is where I'm going to go for it. It's a 50-50 fight.
I'm not too sure I'd say it's a 50-50. I definitely think that Rocky Fielding has got the edge, and I really hope I'm right, because if Rocky Fielding loses to Christopher Rebrath, then he really has to drop down a level. Also on that undercard, of course, Scott Cardle, the rematch between Scott Cardle and Sean Masher Dodd. This is for the British lightweight title. Of course, they fought last year. It was a good fight, and this is the rematch. Scott Cardle 19-0, Sean Dodd 10-2. Also on that bill, Tom Doran, he looks to move to 17-0. He has a tasty record of 16-0 at the moment. This is for the vacant WBC International Middleweight title. He faces Luke Keeler, who has a record of 10-1. It's a 10-rounder at middleweight, of course. Also on the bill, Paul Smith, he gets back in the ring, 35 wins, 6 losses. He faces Daniel Reggie. I think this is just like a keep busy fight. It's only a 6-rounder just because Paul Smith really wants to get back into title contentions. Daniel Reggie has a record of 28 wins and 13 losses. Like I say, it's only a 6-rounder. It's at light heavyweight, this one as well. Moving down that bill again, Reece Belletti, prospect trained by Jimmy Mack and Jimmy Mack Jr. Reece Belletti 5-0 at the moment. He faces Julio Buitrago. Julio Buitrago has a record of 13 wins and 18 losses. And that's really it for the preview side of things. Again, we just absolutely whizzed through the review, whizzed through the news, and whizzed through the preview. We didn't do too much talking on this week's show. We're now going to bring on our second guest. Okay, now it's time for guest number 2 on this week's show. Fresh off his win on Saturday, it's Ricky Boylan. Ricky, welcome to the show.
Hi, mate. Thanks for having me.
No problem. First and foremost, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Just happy to be back to winning ways.
How did it feel in there on Saturday night? Obviously, it's your first fight of 2016.
Yeah, I'd obviously been out of the ring. Well, I think it was 7 months prior to that. My last fight was in September, so it was just all about shaking the rust off, and I'd been working on a few things in the gym, just trying to move my feet and use my jab a little bit more. And to be honest, I'd done that down to a T, so I was really happy with my performance.
Will you actually be staying at 140? Because I know you came in a bit heavier than that. Obviously, there was no title on the line or anything, but will you be staying at 140 or moving up at all, Rick?
Yeah, no, I'm going to stay at 140. Obviously, I'd only had 3 weeks' notice for that, so it weren't worth me. To be fair, I probably could have got a little bit lower, but he was coming in at around that anyway, so they said just come in at 10 stone 10, I think it was. But my next fight, I'm having at welterweight. It's obviously 10-7, and I will make 140 again, but just when it matters, really, championship fights and that.
Now, of course, all the 3 losses you got on the record, they're all close decisions in most cases. You had a pretty bad 12-month period from October 2014 to October 2015. Any of those? Are you chasing any of those for rematches at all?
To be honest, I'd like them all. I'd like to try and put them all right. At the moment, as I said, I'm just working on things in the gym, and one step at a time, I'll get myself back there. I'm not in no rush. I'm still only 27 years old, so I'm not in a real rush. But yeah, one fight at a time, and I'm sure I'll get myself back up there.
Obviously, the 3 L's are from Tyler Goodjohn, Tommy Martin, and Danny Connor. Who do you think's the best out of that little trio there? Who's the best fighter out of those 3?
I'd say Tommy Martin, to be fair. He's got a good jab, he's got fast hands, and he's pretty good on his feet. Tyler Goodjohn won. It was a close fight, and it was a good fight, and the same as the Danny Connor defeat, but. They're all fights that I believe I can win. and hopefully I'll get the chance to put things right.
Of course. Now, your next fight, I believe, has already been announced. Is it?
It's May the 7th at your call. So it's
May the 7th.
5 weeks away.
Yeah. That's at 147. You said. Is
147.
Any idea of who you're going to be fighting yet? I know we're a few weeks out, but any idea at all?
I'm not too sure yet. They only announced it yesterday. They only asked me if I want to get on the show yesterday. So, I'd obviously just boxed, and I'd said to a few promoters that if any opportunity comes for me to get on their shows, then just please let me know. And, this coming up. So obviously I only boxed at the weekend just gone. So I just want to stay as busy as I can now, really. That'll be 2 fights in 2 months, basically. So it'll be good.
Yeah, I did actually want to touch on that. What's the score with yourself promotionally at the moment?
Obviously, I was with Matchroom, but my contract ran out about, I think 6 months ago, something like that, with them. But I'd still been boxed. No, it was longer than that. It was about a year ago, actually, my contract ran out. But I'd still been boxing on their shows. So, yeah, obviously, the opportunity came back up to sign with them again or whatever, and I'll jump at it. But at the moment, as I said, just one step at a time, and I'll work my way back up there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm not promoted by no one at the minute, but just going to box on whatever show I can get on, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean that may be the best thing to do, to be honest, at the moment. How important is it? This is a bit of a silly question, really, but how important is it for 2016 for you to get back to winning ways, of course, and put that 12-month dark period behind you? Finally.
Yeah, it's massively important. There was a couple of times in the Tommy Martin, all them three defeats. I truly believed that I was going to beat them all, and as I said, I had a little bit of a bad run, and I think it showed in the ring. But hopefully, I can start to show people that I can box. I've got a good boxing brain when I use it, and I'm not just a one-dimensional fighter, come forward fighter. So yeah, this is very important these next 12 months, and I believe I'll get myself back up there.
Now, I know that, of course, you're training. Cameron has got you doing quite a few drills now. How has that changed? How has that changed the way you were training before? What's that done for you fitness-wise?
Cameron's brilliant, to be fair, but I always, no matter what fight from the very start, or even my amateur career, I've always had myself in top condition, and Cameron's just pushing me that little bit further. But I was training with Cameron even when I was in Manchester, but I would come back the odd weekend here and there, and then do my sessions with him. But obviously now I'm back down here. I've been doing 2 sessions a week with him. So yeah, he gets me in good condition, and gets me nice and strong at the weight. So it's good. Now,
I know that you're not one to sort of start calling people out, but is there anyone on the domestic scene at the moment you've got your eye on? I know that you want to chase those 3 rematches, but is there anyone apart from those fights there that you got your eye on at fighting in the future?
As I said, Joe, just taking one step at a time. Obviously I've had them 3 defeats, and it's knocked me down the ladder a bit. So it's just a case of working on a few things in the gym and trying to put a few mistakes that I've been making, trying to put them right, and then, as I say, one step at a time. But, I'd love to get my Southern Area title back, and then maybe go for the English and go from there. So whoever's got it at the time, then, yeah, obviously it's the belts more than anything. It's not no one in particular. But, yeah, them 3 defeats, I'd obviously like to fight all them and put them right. But, yeah, just one step at a time.
Yeah, I really hope you get that, because like I say, those defeats were close, all of them, to be totally honest. So it's not like your career's not written off anytime soon. Who is the best in your opinion at 140 domestically? I know that we've got the likes of Jack Catterall coming through. A lot of people would probably say him. Do you think he's the best at 140, taking yourself out of the equation?
In all honesty, I've not seen lots of Jack. I've seen bits of him, and I see him box some Argentinian guy, and to be honest, I wasn't overly impressed, and that's no disrespect to Jack. as I say, I wasn't overly impressed. But the Argentinian, he looked very awkward, to be fair. So 140, obviously you got Lenny Dawes. He's a great fighter. He's experienced and that. It's John Wayne Hibbert who's doing well. Do you know what? I couldn't even put it on one person who I'd say the best is in Britain. Tyrone Nurse is another one who's really skillful. If Tyrone could punch, he'd go all the way, I believe. But he's the most skillful, I think, out of the 140 division at the minute.
One name that you didn't mention there, he's actually in a massive, in a world title fight tomorrow night. We sometimes
Ashley
forget he's
Fearfane.
British, of course. Yeah, Ashley Fearfane.
Yeah.
How do you see that fight going down between Adrian Broner and Ashley Fearfane? Do you give him any sort of a chance, Ricky?
I pray to God he wins. He's not done anything. He's had it the hard way the whole way along. And I was sparring with him probably about 9 weeks ago, and had a good spar with him. I hope, as I say, I hope he does it, but it's a big ask, Hopefully, he's very fit, Ashley, all the time. He's strong, so I just, hopefully he can catch Broner and get him out of there, but it's a big ask.
Yeah, of course. All right, the last question I'm going to ask you now, just your prediction on another upcoming fight. It's kind of at welterweight, it's kind of at its own division, really. Canelo and Khan. What's your views on that, Rick?
To be honest, I've always, when it was announced, Canelo's an amazing fighter, but I think if Khan boxes the right fight and uses his hands and feet, I truly believe that he can beat Canelo. I know he's the underdog, but he has got very, very fast hands and fast feet, and if he doesn't, get involved when he doesn't need to, then, as I say, I think he can beat him.
God willing. All right, Rick, just before I let you go, I want to give you an opportunity to shout out anyone you want to shout out, or say a thank you to any sponsors or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd just say a big thank you to my main sponsors, Robot Cups, GVC Vans, Muscle Food, USANA, and Nuffield Health.
Excellent stuff. All right, Rick, listen, thanks for giving us a bit of time so close after your fight. I wish you the absolute best. I wish you all the luck, and hope that you get those rematches and show them what Ricky Boylan is all about.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, now it's time to conclude episode 26 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. Thank you very much to our two guests that joined us on this week's show, Don Charles and Ricky Boylan. Again, a massive thank you, and the biggest thank you to the listeners that have listened this far. Thank you for giving us your ears yet again this week. We'll be back next week with another big show. Please keep retweeting, favoriting, liking, subscribing, and all the rest. And we'll be back next week with another buster of a show. Until then, take care.